Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Well, apparently, Lori Lightfoot is calling racism and sexism again. Well, I don't know about that one, considering the fact that insanity seems to be of the greatest and highest order here. I'm pretty sure that Chicago is majority black, and you were also not only elected last year or recently of being a black woman and a female and gay as well, I guess you want to call yourself, and you're gonna cry sexism and racism. Right. Take a look at this clip. It's completely asinine that she cannot take any accountability for herself at all. Almost sounds like a typical female trait.
Tribune editorial used the term irascible. How much of this do you think might have to do with the fact that you're a woman, and specifically a black woman?
About 99% of it.
Expand on that.
Well, I mean, look at my predecessors. Did people say that Rich Daley held tea sessions with people that he didn't disagree on? Rahm Emanuel was a polite guy who was a uniter? No. Women and people of color are always held to a different standard. I understand that. I've known that my whole life. And the Tribune or whoever can write what they want. What I'm doing is fighting for the residents of the city. I'm an advocate. I'm going to continue fighting. Obviously, we need to be focused on uniting people as much as we can. But I was elected and ran on disrupting the status quo. And when you disrupt the status quo, you are going to make people uncomfortable. You are going to have people criticize you.
Of course, always using the racism and sexism card, but the statistics shows otherwise. I mean, let's be honest. The majority of black women probably mostly voted for her. There is hard to say otherwise, so that I would that really proves that, because there's not really showing anything that shows like how many women or men voted for this woman. But Chicago is majority black. And majority of black people or people of ethnic ethnicity are the ones that are vote for these type of people. So, or vote mostly Democrat. So she's a bit insane for that, for suggesting otherwise. And we're going to go over that. Of course, we'll see that Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot blames election loss on racism and gender. I'm a black woman in America, of course, she replied when asked by a reporter if she had been treated unfairly. And then, of course, she says that she was treated unfair because, sexism and racism, but that's not true. The Chicago Tribune called her loss a political embarrassment and argued that crime skyrocketed on her watch. Of course it did. Lightfoot campaigned for mayor in 2019 by arguing crime was too high, saying she wanted to make Chicago the safest city in the country. The Tribune said it's an analysis of how she went from political rock star to rock bottom, but homicides mostly from gun violence spiked dramatically in 2020 and 2021, from 500 murders in 2019 to 776 and 804 in the next 2 years, respectively. Shootings and drug catchings also skyrocketed. Violent crime in the city spiked by 40% since she promised during her inaugural address to end the epidemic of gun violence that devastates families, shattered communities, holds children hostage to fear in their own homes, the Chicago Sun-Times reported. The paper attributed some of her woes to bad timing due to pandemic and civic unrest following the murder of George Floyd in May 2020. She almost embraced playing the heavy shutting down the lakefront and abolishing people to stay home. It stayed into her derogatory personality, inspiring an avalanche of hysterical memes that the mayor was smart enough to embrace, the paper said. Chicago City Alderman Anthony Bailey said that for Leo Lightfoot, it was my way or the highway coming out of the gate. Trying to destroy people instead of trying to work with people, politics is a game of addition. It's not a game of subtraction. All she did was subtract from day one, Bale told the Sun-Times. Coming out of the gate at inauguration, she tried to embrace this entire city council as being this corrupt body as she was here to save the day. But it turns out she was the least transparent, least productive, least cooperative administration I've ever seen in my life. DeAndre Johnson, who also robbed at gunpoint in December in upscale neighborhood of Lincoln Park, said, "Good riddance." I believe that people have just had enough. Joe so Wednesday morning on Fox and Friends First. My agenda has been go out and change. Regime change is the only way we're going to fix this. And I think was a loud and clear message that this woke agenda is not working for Chicago. DeSomio said the crime surge was her prime concern in casting her vote. We have two very different approaches now of the two guys that are having the running up, she said. One is very much police protection and support the police, and the other one is more of a defund the police and self-rule. So we'll see how it turns out. But I'm glad the city spoke out and said no more Lori Lightfoot. Meanwhile, business owner Sam Sanchez said the crime wave was hurting the city's economy and suggested that Lightfoot's loss will spur additional investment. We're looking for businesses to come back, Sanchez said on the show. We're headed in the right direction. The idea of coming to the city and being afraid should not be the reason you don't come in. We definitely have to address the prosecution and accountability of the crime, he added. Gianno Caldwell, a Fox News political analyst whose brother was killed in Chicago last summer, applauded her defeat. The Lori Lightfoot experience is officially over. Thank you, Chicago, he wrote on Twitter. Attorney and Fox News contributor Jonathan Turley also chimed in writing, there is hope for my city yet. Lord Lightfoot is out, the greatest potential improvement for the city since 1900 when the direction of the Chicago River was reversed. Lightfoot, the first black woman and first openly gay person to lead Chicago, has become the city's first elected mayor to lose in a re-election bid since 1983 when Jane Byrne, the city's first female mayor, lost her dramatic primary. The same forces that didn't want Harold Washington to succeed, they're still here. She told the New Yorker, referring to the Democrat who was elected that year. Last time we had an African mayor in power was 40 years ago. It's important for us not to repeat history, she added. On Tuesday, Lightfoot received only 16.4% of the vote, finishing behind the former of Chicago Public, second Paul Vollis, and Cook Commissioner Brandon Johnson. Vollis, who won 35% of the vote, and Johnson, who got 20.2%, will lead to April 4 runoff election to determine who will be the next mayor. Lightfoot's demise comes after the Windy City recorded more than 800 murders in 2021, the most in the quarter century. The homicide rate dropped 14% in 2022, but remained only nearly 40% higher than in 2019. The city also saw more than 20,000 cases of the theft in 2022, nearly double the amount of 2021, according to the police department's end-of-the-year report. In the first 3 weeks of this year, crime rates have skyrocketed by 61% to last year. According to police, Republicans gloated over Lightfoot's loss, with U.S. Representative Major Tyler Green tweeting, "Lori Lightfoot, crime doesn't pay." Former Georgia Representative Chicago's Mayor Lightfoot just got the foot other than Democrat mayors with runaway crime in your cities. Take note, even liberals are tired of being unsafe. A former White House press secretary, Kelly McConnell, who clashed with Lightfoot while serving in the Trump administration, also shared her defeat. So, yeah, this is ongoing and continuous. However, guys, I'm going to show you what is the real case here. Now, yes, Lori Lightfoot is gone, and let's all praise and go for hurrah for that. But there's another issue here that you guys may need to know as well, because it's not just the mere fact that Lightfoot is also gone. We have other issues that may have to look at that may not really solve the problem. We have this here as well, to where we have Brandon Johnson. The one that they said is another black man, which, of course, obviously, this man is black, and she's calling racism when the man that beat him was also black. He's part of the Democratic Party as well. So they're trading one Democratic person for another Democratic person. Then we have Paul Vollis, which is a white man who has, which is also part of the Democratic Party as well. So she may, and I mean this is a very, very, very low, may be right for the sexism part because there's been two men, but the black thing doesn't seem to be the case considering Brandon Johnson is another black man that seems to have taken the case of doing it, but he's also a Democrat. So I don't know how this is going to really solve anything considering the fact that they're both Democrats. So it's just, again, the group of Chicago people voting for another Democrat. There is nobody else that they're really going for. Then we have this as well, that she's saying, oh, well, Chicago is, being racist or whatever. And, well, let's put this into perspective, guys. 29.2% of the black population is in Chicago, whereas the racial ethnic groups between white are 33.1%, followed by black 28.8%, and Hispanic by 28.7%. Let's go with by ethnicity standards. There is by far more ethnicity people of racial ethnic groups than white people in Chicago. So you can't really put towards racism because there's more ethnic groups of people in Chicago than there are white by a great margin. So you can't really call racism there. So you would have to have almost the entire group of white people to have to even consider a lick of racism. And even still, if we were going to go to the white people, you would still have to choose a still majority, if not all, of white people just to beat out the black percentage of essentially black people not having to vote for because of a race in the city as well, which is completely asinine. There's also, we have this here is Chicago makes history electing Lightfoot as first black woman mayor. So she won 70% of the vote with nearly all precincts counted compared to 26% of Prewinkle, a long time while local partisan to become Chicago's 56th mayor. So if we go look at Prewinkle here, come on. Tori Prewinkle. This looks like to be another white woman, or potentially she could actually be she's black. Well, guess what? She's black. Again, this woman is, again, a black person. And then they're voting for potentially another black person who was, again, the previous one was black and she was female. And then we have another one who they voted for again, 76% of it, which she was black and female. And then there's another person that may win again, Brandon Johnson, which is black. Where is the racism, Lori Lightfoot? The insanity from you is just immense, alright? I do not know. And if anything, it would be considered less racism, it would be more racism if Paul Wallace got in, because he's white and the last three people that would be considered mayor or what have you have been black. So I don't know where the hell you're going with this. The racism is not fair. The sexism is obviously not fair because the previous mayor was also black. And if we go with this, let's see here. The governor of Illinois happens to be a Democratic person, but this is the only white person here. This is the Democratic person of 2019. So you have three black mayors, potentially three black mayors, one white guy could win, and you have this guy that's white here. But all the mayors of Chicago have been essentially black for the past, I don't know how many years. So you're gonna have a hard time selling this for me, all right? The insanity from her is obvious. She's trying to say it's racism, trying to go to the woke crowd, but the people have spoken, they don't want her BS. Although, unfortunately, everybody that they're going to be getting is still going to be Democratic and just destroying their city. But we'll see. Maybe they'll make change. But at least Lori Lightfoot is out. Alright, guys. That's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share. As always, take care.